changed the fundamental way in which government functioned was essentially cross-partisan. And in a world where we're calling for an amendment that requires 38 states to join with us, we cannot win if the issue is polarized, if the nation is divided about this question. And what that means is we have to learn to speak so the other side can hear. Speak so the other side can hear. And of this I was reminded after talking to a friend who studies the history of the civil rights movement, that there's a parallel in the civil rights movement. If you think about the civil rights movement at the end of the 1950s and the beginning of the 1960s, the fundamental struggle the movement had was how do they get people to show up, to turn out, and express their anger and frustration with the existing injustice of the American system, and to demand a change. And there were two schools. There's a school associated with Malcolm X that said the way to get them to show up is to tell them to be incredibly angry, to be furious, and to demand the changes which hundreds of years ago should have been granted to African Americans, and to use whatever means, including, if it came to it, violence, to demand this change. And in response to that completely plausible, at the time seemed eminently sensible, recommendation for how to bring about and demand the changes that African Americans were entitled to, Martin Luther King had a different view. King's view was, look, you can get 12% or 14% of America to show up and demand change, but 14% of America is not enough. Instead, he counseled a movement that could speak so that the other side could hear. Not speak with violence, where if whites saw violence, they would shut their eyes and close their ears and demand the violence end, but speak through nonviolence. So that when whites from the North saw African Americans being beaten up and bitten by dogs and not respond with violence, they would have to stop and listen and hear and understand. Speak so the other side can hear, and hear too. In my view, we need a certain discipline here. A discipline in this movement. A discipline that makes it possible so that we speak, so that the other side in this debate can hear what we're saying too. So here are the ways to that end. The first thing is to recognize what the power is that we have. Now, the Charterati in America think that the really interesting division in American politics is between the left side and the right side. I think the interesting division in American politics is between the inside and the outside. The inside, the kind of world inside that beltway in Washington, D.C., and then the outside, the rest of America. And when you listen to what they talk about and contrast it to what the rest of us talk about, it suggests a remix of a very famous book. Washington is from Mars, and we are from Earth. Now, the point to recognize is that these outsiders have a certain politics. Following Nigel Cameron, let me just call it, to be kind of geeky, exopolitics. Exopolitics. And the exopolitics is not a politics of politicians, it's a politics of citizen politics. Citizens demanding that their politics change. Citizens who are not congressman wannabes or representative wannabes. Citizens who want to have the freedom to go back to their life, but recognize they need to stand up for a week or a month or a year or 5 years and shake the insanity out of their government. And there are many instances, many examples of this over the past 15 years, and I think they're increasingly frequent. These waves of open source energy that bubble up and have an effect and begin to define what this movement could be. I think the move